I'm joined in India today, live and exclusive, by the former President and Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. We're joined by Ranil Wickremesinghe. Mr. Wickremesinghe is in India for the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture. We requested him to join us to talk about the life and times of Dr. Manmohan Singh and how one of our important neighbors looks at India's former Prime Minister. Mr. Wickremesinghe was he's the 9th president of Sri Lanka from 22 to 24. Before this, he was Prime Minister 93, 94, 2001, 2004, 2015, 2018, 2018, 2019, and in 2022. So he's really seen the journey of both India and Sri Lanka at very close quarters. Mr. Wickremesinghe, welcome to India. Can I start by asking you about your reflections on what you saw and knew of India's former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh?
Well, I heard of Dr. Manmohan Singh when he took over as the Minister of Finance. Earlier, he was known, of course, for his role as the governor of your Reserve Bank. But this was the time. Remember, it's not a calm India like it is today. It was an India in crisis. You had a foreign exchange. Not only was the financial crisis, but basically your reserves had to be taken out into London. Now, that was a big shock for all of us. We thought of India as a model of stability. And to think that your gold was being taken away, I mean, that was a shock that we had to comprehend. And then you had Prime Minister Narasimha Rao taking some very, very bold decisions, backed up by Dr. Manmohan Singh, who really, the detailed strategy was his. Once the political decision was, if that strategy was wrong, everything would have fallen out. And when I came, I met him, and I also met Dr. Monte Carlo, who had been working on it. So you had this, then corresponding to that, you had the opening up of trade by Mr. Chidambaram, who I think was the Minister of Commerce. So you could see this, but it was Dr. Manmohan Singh's ministry which was really driving it. And I met him again in 1993 when I came as Prime Minister. At that time, the Sir could see that the stabilization had taken place and he was in a position to take India forward. So it is in that background, it is difficult for some of you to imagine what it was like at that time, not only for you all, but for us to find the Indian economy coming apart.
So you've spoken of his tenure as Finance Minister and his role in stabilizing India's economy after the balance of payment crisis. Speak also, Mr. Wickremesinghe, about your impressions of Dr. Singh's tenure as Prime Minister from 2004 to 2014.
Yes, I looked at it in 3 ways. Firstly, the continuation of the reform, because from Narasimha Rao it went to Mr. Vajpayee, and then Dr. Manmohan Singh. He had to finalize that last the phase. In fact, he started as Minister of Finance, then he got on to it as Prime Minister. So that was one part. The second was his dealings with our government in respect of the finalizing the war itself, bringing it to end in 2009, then looking at the type of relief that had to be given, the political settlement, the human rights issue. So that was the second part. The third one was the civil nuclear deal with the US, which meant that India then was able to deal with US and go ahead, which has come around with India joining the Quad. So those are the 3 items I remember of Dr. Manmohan Singh's Prime Ministership. Again, it was a very important period in the Indian history because it also changed the status of India, enabling it to become a partner with the US.
Spend some time, Mr. Wickremesinghe, talking about Dr. Singh's dealings with our neighboring countries, Sri Lanka in particular, and the South Asia region in general, and the kind of approach that he carried and the kind of achievements that you think, or the failures of his time in power and his government's approach to our immediate neighbors?
No, I don't. It's not a failure at all. I mean, basically, if you looked at on the local issues of the war and the thereafter, it was a balancing act for everyone. We were all in new territory. We had to work along. But remember, Dr. Manmohan Singh approach was not that of a politician. It was very, very soft-spoken. Though it was soft-spoken, and the message was very clear. And how we are going to cooperate became the main. So we had to drive that forward. And I think the post-war in Sri Lanka, the post-LTT relationships was initiated by Dr. Manmohan Singh.
You know, and when it comes to our ties with Sri Lanka and the other South Asian countries, did you see an effort to try and really build bridges, to try and break down any of the barriers that may have stayed, and to really try, because I know for a fact in my conversations with people around Dr. Manmohan Singh how important he felt the South Asian region was, and the coming together economically and in terms of tourism of people of the South Asian region for common prosperity.
No, that's correct. And he was thinking of it not only as a politician but as economist. How does the South Asian economies pick up? How does India develop? So he did look at it. And remember that he looked at the social context. He looked at it was a multifaceted approach, I would say.
Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, former President of Sri Lanka, for joining us in India today with your thoughts about Dr. Manmohan Singh. Thank you very much. I deeply appreciate your time. It's good to have you in India. Thank you, sir. That's the former PM and President of Sri Lanka talking about his memories of Dr. Manmohan Singh.